Cincinnati Bengals record prediction for the 2026 NFL season. Will the Bengals take care of business and get back to the playoffs? We'll break it all down for you right now on Bengals Digest. Hello, everyone. Welcome into Bengals Digest. I'm Makin. This is Adam Mugnaini. This is our first duo together, so bear with us as we may have a few technical or difficulties or whatever like that coming for you here. But we're going to break down the entire Bengals 2026 schedule, go game by game, my pick, Adam's pick, and then we'll show you the full record prediction at the end. But first, I'll let Adam share some thoughts right now.
Yeah, just wanted to shout out our subscribers here who you guys have been crushing it. We're pushing to 5,000 subs, so we really appreciate the support on that. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and join us. It's completely free to do so, and we really appreciate the support on that.
Absolutely. Alrighty, well let's jump right into it because I did a schedule release last night, and I know some of you were tuned in for that. Some of our usuals. I'm calling you out, Danny, there, and so let's pull up the Bengals schedule for you guys. A little small. I hope you can still see that pretty decently there, but we all know by now that we're starting off week 1 at home, orange out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming into town, coming into Cincinnati. Adam?
Yeah, I think this will be an interesting matchup. Obviously, week 1, you never really know what to expect. I do personally have this one as a loss, unfortunately, taking the L at home. I think Tampa Bay, not like obviously they just lost the playoffs, just missed out on the playoffs. I don't see them improving a ton, but also I still think that the Bengals are going to take a few weeks to kind of mesh.
They've tended to do that in the Zach Taylor era for sure, and I also kind of mark the Bucks as being like very minorly improved with like having like solid free agency, good draft and stuff overall. But I still think they'll probably hover right around 500 for the most part this year and try to just sneak in to the playoffs. So I actually have this one as a loss as well, unfortunately, because we want to start out the year hot. We don't want to have another open and orange taking the L, but that's just the way I feel. That's just the way these Bengals teams have been since Joe Burrow's been quarterback. He just sometimes takes a little while to get into rhythm. So, yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. But, hey, when he turns it on, he turns it on. So, all right, Adam, I'll let you start off here with week 2 at Houston.
Yeah, so at Houston, again, another 1 o'clock game there. I have this one as a win. I think that Houston, it's just not a team that I'm very scared of going into the season. And not a ton of changes in terms of front office or anything like that I'm aware of. So I definitely don't see them as being a hugely improved team. And I think that the Bengals maybe start to get it going here this week in week 2.
I think the same thing here, too. I marked this one as a win, but I could see it going both ways. Frankly, I think both these week 1 and week 2 games I could see going both ways. But I went with the loss versus the Buccaneers, and I went with a win versus Houston. I think that with the defensive improvements that the Bengals have this year, I think that's going to help against C.J. Stroud, who is a very middling quarterback, in my opinion. And obviously the Texans have a great defense, and that carried them to a playoff victory last year. But I don't think they improved too much. Solid, overall offseason for them. But yeah, I think the Bengals are able to take care of business, make just enough plays to get the W in this one. So now we'll move on to week 3 at Pittsburgh. 1 o'clock game again. Bengals' first 7 games, all 1 o'clock games. And reminiscent of 2021, for those of you who were watching back then, Bengals went into Pittsburgh, took care of business, then swept the Steelers that season, and hopefully we repeat that a little bit this year, bringing home a W. And that's what I have picked because, well, the Steelers still don't have a quarterback who has actually played in the NFL significantly, except for Mason Rudolph. And I think their aging defense is also something to, consider. And I think the Bengals are just a much more improved team than the Steelers are.
Yeah, and without spoiling it too much for my predictions later on as we go down, but in the sake of time, I will say I do have them splitting, but this week in week 3, I do have them when they go to Pittsburgh taking the L. So unfortunately, a 1-2 start from my end. on my prediction. I can't fully explain why, but I just see the Bengals this year splitting with Pittsburgh. But I'd like to agree with you, Michael. I'd like to say that I do hope that happens.
Yeah.
Because I do agree. I mean, the quarterback, it's a big deal. Obviously, the quarterback situation that they got going on there, and nobody really knows
Well,
what
I mean,
we're going to see out of Pittsburgh.
we basically, it's like the majority of the AFC North goes 3 for 3, it feels like, every year. Just beating each other up. I almost had the Bengals losing at home versus Steelers on, what is that? Is that Sunday night? Yes, on Sunday night on the 15th. But I don't know. I went with the week 3 game as being, I went with us sweeping them because you know what? We have not beaten the Steelers at home since 2021. Well, as Joe Burrow is quarterback. Last year we obviously won with Flacco, but Burrow has not beaten the Steelers at home since 2021, and I want it to change, so I'm going to predict that it changes. Yeah.
I like to hear that.
Yeah. Well, on to week 4 here, guys. The Jaguars come to town again early in the season, which they've also done quite a few times this decade. And how are we feeling about the Jaguars? Because I don't think that they got much better at all in the offseason. I think they got worse.
I concur. I feel the same exact way. I'm not worried about Jacksonville. Short and simple, I think that's a win.
And Joe Burrow has owned Trevor Lawrence at every opportunity he's had, except for getting injured last year. So I'm going to chalk that one up as another W2. We move on to week 5 versus the Miami Dolphins in Miami again for the Bengals, back-to-back years. Another 1 o'clock game. Dolphins in rebuild mode. We were just discussing this in show prep, and I can't imagine they're going to rattle off more than 5 to 6 wins this year. I think this is an easy Bengals. Oh, they might not make it easy, but this should be an easy Bengals win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is also around the time that Miami, might take a few losses and might be shopping some players like Jordan Brooks and, going fully committing to the rebuild again this season. So I see that as a win as well.
Maybe they'll be bringing him our way. We'll see.
Hopefully.
We hit the bye, an early bye for the Bengals, for sure. Was talking about that last night. Earliest the team has had since 2017. How about that? So we'll see how that affects the players down the stretch, but maybe if they get off to a funk early on in the year, they can sort things out right then and there. And then they head to Baltimore to play the Ravens as we approach Halloween. Another 1 o'clock game there. Adam, what did you predict on this one?
I do have them coming off the bye and taking an L in Baltimore. Again, similar to the Steelers, I just have them splitting both of those games. I have them losing on the road and then winning at home. So, I think it's a split this year. I think Baltimore, they're still a threat, I think, in this division. It's no question. They're probably... If it's not the Bengals, they're probably the favorite to win the division this year. And so I see that as a split.
Agreed. I have this one as a loss too. So that said, through the first 6 games, you have the Bengals at 3-3, right? I have them at 4-2. And then we move on to, we come back to Cincinnati. And the Titans finally come here for the first time. It feels like a while. It has been since 2020. But, Bengals have had tons of success playing the Titans in recent years, specifically, in the playoffs and stuff. But completely different team now. And, they got Cam Ward. They got Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale Robinson as receivers. Should be a little better of an offense than they've had in the past couple of years. And we were just talking about how they got Robert Saleh and Brian Dable as coaches. We'll see how that offense performs. But I still like the Bengals defense. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I like the Bengals defense still against a very young offense.
I would agree with that. And I do think there's something to be said about week 8 there, the timeline of when we're playing them, because, I think that Tennessee, again, like you said, they're a young squad. They made a lot of changes this offseason. I think this is probably going to be the point in the season that they start to turn the tides. But I think that's going to have to wait until week 9, and I do have the Bengals taking a win here.
Same here. Then we head to Atlanta. Well, sorry, we don't head to Atlanta. They're heading all the way overseas to Madrid, Spain, and the Bengals are taking on the Falcons there. Really exciting stuff. Joe Burrow seems very excited about it. Not scared of the Falcons, frankly. Not sure who's going to be quarterback, if it's going to be Tua or Michael Penix Jr., but it's going to be Zach Taylor versus Kevin Stefanski. And so we will see how that matchup goes. But I have the Bengals taking a dub here because I think that these guys are just going to be amped at the opportunity to play an international game. And I think it suits this team pretty darn well.
Yeah, I would agree. I like the idea of a 9:30 a.m. Riser for getting to watch football first thing in the morning, and I do have the Bengals also taking a win here. I think Atlanta has some experience playing those international games, so they might have a bit of an upper hand in that aspect, but I don't read too much into that, and I do see the Bengals coming out with a dub.
Awesome. Glad we agree there. Then we move on to one that I don't remember if we agree or no. Actually, we do agree on this one. All right, on to November 15th. That is week 11, I believe. And the Bengals taking on the Steelers Sunday night in Cincinnati. Man, that should be a really fun one, regardless of who the Steelers have at quarterback. Always love to root against the Steelers when they come to Cincinnati. And I have the Bengals taking a dub here because, well, I just don't believe in the Steelers too much this year. Adam?
Yep, same thing. Like I said earlier, have them taking the win at home here against Pittsburgh.
Nice. Then we'll move on to another primetime game. Bengals 3 straight primetime games, including the international one Monday night at Washington, D.C. to take on the Commanders. I have this one as a win. I could see them losing. Do you have them as a loss here?
I do have them as a win, but I can see your sentiment in terms of like this could be a slip up game. I think you start to reel in a couple. We have them winning, most of the last few that we've covered, and I think that this could be a test game.
Could be, but then the Saints could also be a trap game after that. I don't know. The Commanders game should be interesting. Excited to see Burrow and Daniels ball out again. Hopefully it's shades of the duel in 2024. But this time, hopefully, the Bengals come on top. We predicted it, but we're a little uncertain about that one. Then the Bengals get to come back home, and they got a lot of home games towards the latter half of this schedule. Not really a ton of traveling at all. If you take a look at that there, and we play the Saints. Saints should be a little bit better. Last year they were just 6-11. Noah Fant's coming home to Cincinnati. I said last night I hope he gets a fumble 6. It would be icing on the cake. I have the Bengals winning this one unless it's a trap game and they just do a Bengal thing. I don't know.
I also have them winning this game. Unfortunately for New Orleans, they've been, they've been playing rough the past few years, and I see that continuing this year. I don't think they fully have it together yet. Same
here, my man. Same here. And then we move on to, I can't keep track of the weeks. We are playing December 6th, 13. We are playing in Cleveland, and I think this is where the Bengals stumble down the stretch, and I think they lose in Cleveland because they've just historically struggled playing there. Aside from last year, they were able to squeak out a Week 1 victory, but I think the Bengals are going to lose this one. The Browns just find a way to play better against the Bengals than they do against pretty much every other team, it seems. They really come out for it, and so I have a loss.
Yeah, this is probably out of the stretch. I do have them going from week 8 to 13 on a 6-game winning streak, and I have them winning this game against Cleveland. But I do think that if they're the one that I'm least confident in, it's probably this game out of that stretch.
Word. And then we come back home, Kansas City. 4:25 game, kind of a pseudo primetime game sort of thing going on. And I think, personally, that Joe Burrow is going to get some revenge. And I think the Bengals have lost too many games in a row to the Chiefs, dating back to the 22 AFC Championship game. I think they're going to right the ship this time. And I think the Bengals are a better team all around than Kansas City this year. And so I have them taking the dub.
I have the opposite. I do have them snapping that 6-game winning streak. I think, all good things come to an end. It's not necessarily that I'm super worried about Kansas City, but I just think the way that it was playing out in the schedule for me, this one made sense to mark down as an L.
We'll see what happens. Taylor Swift may bring her magical powers and bring a win for Travis and company. But then we go to Carolina. I was marking this as one that I might want to travel to. But Bengals head to Carolina December 20th, 1 o'clock game. And the Panthers, to me, are a very improved team. I think they had a great draft, good free agency. I don't know if they have enough on offense, but I still think they added a lot of good talent. And obviously went to the playoffs last year, even though they were only 9-8. But I still think they should be a pretty competitive team. But I got the Bengals winning this one.
Yeah,
I know. I'm sorry. I have them losing. Excuse me. I have them losing.
Oh, do you?
I have them losing.
Really?
Yes, I have them losing to the Browns and then beating the Chiefs, losing to the Panthers. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I actually have this one as a win, but I agree with you. I think that Carolina, they looked impressive the end of last year, able to sneak into the playoffs, and I agree. I think they improved a lot. I think that Bryce Young is really coming into the franchise guy that they wanted him to be, and so I think this one's a bit of a toss-up, but I think late in the season, Bengals, with probably a lot on the line at this point, I do see them coming out with the win.
We'll see what happens there. Then we travel just an hour and 45 minutes from home to Indianapolis. Bengals taking on the Colts. TBD on the time. So, and we don't even know the date, 26th or the 27th of December. And I have the Bengals winning this one because, it's simple as this. Daniel Jones or Joe Burrow? Who you got? I'm going Joe Burrow. As long as he's healthy, Bengals are winning this game.
Yeah, we're going to disagree here. I've got Indianapolis winning this one. I think the Colts are an impressive team. I don't think that last year was a fluke. I know that Daniel Jones did go down.
7 losses down the stretch, Adam.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting for sure. But I do have them taking the L.
I think it will, and I think Lou knows so much about this offense. And so that will make that very interesting as well, for sure. And then
Absolutely.
we go to probably the most exciting of all of them. Thursday Night Football on New Year's Eve, 8:15 kickoff, Bengals-Ravens. Wow, is that awesome and also worrisome?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's also, you got to think about the short week that they're coming off as well.
Yeah, this is where they have three games in an 11-day stretch. That's going to be, no doubt, really tough. They're not going to win all three. They're probably, and there's no way they win all three. That's why, I don't know. I have them losing the first one out of that. Ravens one looking to be the toughest. But my optimistic mindset is that we beat the Ravens here and we clinch the division. Hopefully we could clinch even the 1 seed, right? If we don't, we don't. But there's a good chance the Bengals could clinch the division on New Year's Eve. Ball drops, everyone goes out, celebrates, has a good time in downtown Cincinnati. That's what I want to happen. So that's what I'm predicting.
Hey, I'm seeing the vision. I'm going to go win on this one as well. I'm feeling the good vibes off of that night. I think that one's going to be exciting as well.
Locker room vibes will be off the hook, the videos after that.
Oh,
If it happens. And then last game of the year, at home, Cleveland comes to town, and I have the Bengals winning this. Only reason I don't have them, only reason I would say they lose is if we're resting our starters and Cleveland just wants to play to get a worse draft pick for some reason. But I don't know. I have them winning this because maybe it will mean something for the 1 seed.
I would agree. I think Cleveland or Pittsburgh are going to be at the bottom of the division this season, so most likely Cleveland is not going to be fighting for a playoff spot at this point. And even with resting starters, I kind of agree that they aren't going to be wanting to get a worse draft pick.
Yeah.
Not saying they're going to intentionally lose, but I do have this as a win.
Well, I think it was the 2021 game. We were both resting our starters. The end of that year. And the Browns had Case Keenum at quarterback. Actually, Baker was just hurt. That's what it was. Baker was hurt. So shades of that. Also worth noting, Bengals have ended the season 21, 23, 25, and now 2026 versus the Browns. So they just keep doing that. They just keep doing that, schedule makers. Well, folks, that's our full predictions here. I'll pull up. This is mine. You can see I got us at 13-4. And, you know, the losses there that we all talked about and discussed. And here is Adams that he's got for y'all. He's got the Bengals going 12-5.
Just slightly less optimistic.
Yes, just slightly less. I mean, mine, albeit it is a very optimistic take for sure. It's what I hope for. If everything goes well, if we're not super injured, you know. But I could see it being differently for sure. So, folks, how many wins are you expecting the Bengals to have this year? 13 plus, 11-12, 9-10, 8 or less. Let us know in the comments for sure. Once again, these are ours together. We had 13. I had 13. Adam had 12. But Adam, you want to get us out of here?
Yeah, we appreciate you guys joining us. Again, be sure to let us know down in the comments. Do you think we overshot, undershot? Let us know why you disagree with us or agree with us down in the comments below. And with all that being said, this has been Adam and Michael with Bengals Digest.